Alright, so this pattern here is one I'm going to take and show you how to create a tiled texture pattern for. So there are a lot of issues with this. I can't just take this and use it as a tiled pattern. I know these little sticks are going to show up. We have this broken rock that is darker. A good thing to do is squint. Down here in this corner we have a darker patch that's further away from us. So what I want to do is crop this into a square and then take some of the smaller rocks that are standardized and rotate them and place them down over areas that I think are problematic. So I'm going to first make this into a square document. I'm going to crop it by going up to Image, Canvas Size. There are other ways to do it. My smallest dimension is 450 pixels, and you want to be in pixels. And you also want something that's going to divide by 2 in case I want to go and use the offset function for this. So I'm just going to go and take this and say 250, and I want to push it over to this side. Click OK. It's giving me a notice telling me that the document is going to be smaller and that it's going to clip something. And there we go. So now I've gotten rid of that darker, smaller area on this side. I still have things that I need to fix. I'm going to be using the stamp tool, different types of selections to move things around. And the first thing I want to do before I go too far is really take a look at it. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a pattern. I'm going to select it with the rectangle select, and then I'm going to come up here and go Edit, Define Pattern. And for this one, I do want to give it a name because I am going to redo this. So I'm going to type in 1. And now I have just our start default. So now I have our 4K by 4K document I want to paste this pattern to. So I'm grabbing the paint bucket. I'm going to go up under Pattern. And then make sure that I have the pattern we're using. And I'm going to paste that down. So from a distance, it looks pretty good. I do have a darker area that I want to work on, this big shadow right here. I'm going to pull back a bit and look at this larger, so I'm going to say 40%. We'll come in, and now we can see what we're seeing. So I know this still has to be tiled, and I'm really looking at the areas we're having problems with. And this is the area down here with this leaf. I have this darkness, and that's what's coming out the most for me. So when I go and I clean it up, I definitely need to remove this darker area. This is much lighter here, and that might become an issue as we're working. So we're going to go and look at the original and see if we can find these areas. So this darker one, let's go to 50%. Is right here with this leaf. We have a twig as well, and then certainly this large rock is going to need to get fixed. But we do have a lighter area right here. And let's check this little piece and see if that's an issue. I'm going to go not quite as far back. Alright. It's this one. So it's probably this rock I need to adjust. And then the dark area down here. So those are two things standing out, and those are two things I want to make sure that I fix. So before I go in and start trying to tile this, just coming in and deselecting this and grabbing a different type of selection tool. I want to zoom in real far so I can really see what these rocks look like. I'm going to hold down my space bar to get my hand, and here's my lighter rock that seems to be catching my eye. These 4 rocks, and then down here we have to fix this dark spot. So I could go and grab one of my lasso tools and select a rock or two and duplicate those. I should turn on my stylus. And I'm just holding down Alt to remove a little bit of the overlap here. Okay. I should zoom in further, but that's good. So I'm just going to Control C that, create a new layer, Control V, and then move that rock. So I can go into my free transform, rotate it. I can also go to this layer and go back, and after I'm done, make some color adjustments so it doesn't feel like the same rock. So I'm just going to place this over here. Now I don't have any shadow. I can add a drop shadow, but I just want to hide this area. And I'm trying not to create more work for myself, so I'm not going all the way out to the edge, and then that way I don't have to worry about matching this side of the rock up when I get there, when I do my offset. And I do want to create another layer, so I'm just going to accept that. And I do have that one rock now. I can always go back to this layer and grab it. So I'm going to grab a couple other little rocks and do the same thing. Control C, create a new layer, Control V, and now I want to move that rock. So again, this one was a problem for us. It was a little too light. This feels like the same amount of lightness, so I may want to just move around and find a better rock to put that over. I can see this being a problem later. I'm breaking up the shape as well, so I do want to do a free transform on this so it doesn't feel like the same rock we just had. You do have to watch for things like drop shadows when you're placing these. And maybe I'll take another copy of this one. So I'm just going to go down and duplicate that layer and move that rock, excuse me, up and cover up something. Well, that one's too close. Like this. And again, free transform. Rotate, maybe scale it a bit. And scale it down. Alright, so again, I can go into add something like a drop shadow. I just want to put a little drop shadow so the rocks actually feel like they're sitting on that pile. And I want to do that to each of the layers. So you can duplicate this. So I can copy this layer style and paste it. See my rock right now. There it is. And then same here. I'm going to come up to this version of the rock and then paste. And again, I'm quickly doing this. I'm not cleaning them up real well, but I just want to show you the end result. Would work pretty well, especially if you take the time and cut these rocks out nicely. So up here, I have some issues, like these little branches, and I'm going to come in with this and do a clone tool